everybody, it's JBR3 Collector here, back with another action figure tier ranking video. This time we're going over the Marvel Legends Grim Reaper body mold. This is going to be the shortest list so far. There's only been 29 uses of the Grim Reaper body mold since 2015 when it was first introduced in the Ant-Man movie wave. It's just started. I may have missed a couple figures here and there, but I really don't think so. I am pretty confident that this is every usage of the Grim Reaper body mold. This is off the top of my head, so I may have missed one, but I really do not think so. But anyways, I'm going to do them in a random order. It's not in chronological order or alphabetical order or anything. But first, we are going to start with the Grim Reaper, just because he is the first person to use that body mold. And Grim Reaper himself, he is Eric Williams, the brother of Wonder Man, and he's 6'2" and 225 pounds. Pretty big guy. It was really cool to introduce his body mold for him, but I'm going to put him in B just because he's really basic. Even though I love him, I think it's a great figure, but he's really basic. And his cape, they introduced this horrible cape with him. They were using a couple Vision figures as well. And I don't know why they sculpted the cape that way. I think it's like the worst cape that Marvel Legends has ever done. Maybe competitively for the Hyperion / Century cape, but at least that has only been used twice. There's a Grim Reaper cape's been used a little bit more often than that. So I'll put him in B. I think he's just average. I think he's not bad, but he could definitely be better. Yeah. Then to go to like the second uses of the body mold, we'll go with Craven from the Rhino wave, who I think looks amazing. I think this is a really great looking figure, except for his head sculpt. His head sculpt's really bland, and it could have been way better. But otherwise, other than that head sculpt, he's an A tier figure. If he had a great head sculpt, he could be an S tier. I love the new sculpted legs and all the bands on his arms. He has a lot of new sculpt on this figure for only the second time getting reused. That's pretty crazy, to be honest with you. So yeah, Craven will go in A. And then we'll go with the Punisher. This is a Walgreens exclusive Punisher. I forget how tall Craven is, by the way. I'm pretty sure he's about 6'2", but I don't know for a fact. But Punisher, Frank Castle, is listed as being 6'1" and 200 pounds. Punisher is usually drawn much larger than a 200-pound man. He's drawn bigger than Daredevil usually, who is also 6 foot, 200 pounds. And so the Punisher, I think the Grim Reaper body mold is fine for the Punisher. And yeah, I'll put Walgreens Punisher in A tier because he has a lot of cool accessories. And I think it's a good body mold for the Punisher, so we'll go there for him. Next up is the character who has used this body mold more than any other character. Just like how Cyclops is the most commonly used character that uses the Bucky Cat body, Captain America is the most commonly used character that uses the Grim Reaper body. However, Captain America, his first figure on the Grim Reaper body was from the Onslaught Build-A-Figure wave, the red Onslaught Build-A-Figure wave, and it was what people call Wolf Cap. And a Wolf Cap here, he's okay. I think if you use him as a John Walker Captain America, I think he works great because he has a really ugly head. He does not look like Steve Rogers at all. But I think he's okay. I don't think he's mind-blowing or anything. This is also the first time they used that tiny shield. The tiny smooth shield. Before this, they used the shield that had like the sculpted lines, and it was pretty amazing. But now, with this mold, introduced a teeny tiny flat shield that they can reuse for other characters I'll get to later on this list. So that really brings him down. Honestly, put him in... He's not bad, but I think he could be better. I'm going to put him in C tier, honestly, because we've gotten so many better Captain Americas since then. Next up is another character that has used his body mold a couple times. Let's go with This guy, this is Malekith. This is the San Diego Comic-Con 2017 version of Malekith. And Malekith, well, I think he looks actually good as a figure. His scale is way off. Malekith, so he uses the Grim Reaper body mold, which was originally created for a guy who's 6'2", 225, and has been used for other guys who are 6'2", 6'1", 6'2". Captain America is 6'2", 240. Malekith here is supposed to be 6'9". That's a huge height discrepancy here. He should be way taller and skinny. You know, Malekith is drawn very skinny and very tall, and this figure is very thick and short for the character. Still bigger than the average Marvel Legend, but he should be taller than a Thor figure, for example, and he is not. So I'm gonna put him in D. I think he looks good as a figure, but just as a character, he should not be on the Grim Reaper body mold. Now here's a character. Actually, I lied. I just go Captain America again. So we had Wolf Cap. Now we have the same exact figure, but a lighter blue with some scale mail painted on. But they actually use the good old shield with the retro cap here. I'll put him in the same level as the other Captain America. Actually, no, I'll put him one level higher, just because that better shield helps him a lot. That shield's bigger slightly, and it has the sculpted lines. That's a good shield to use on the new 20th cap if you have that 20th anniversary cap. But yeah, I think he's slightly better than the Onslaught Wave Captain America. Next up, we're going to go another character who probably should have been on a different body mold. We're going to go with Rock Python. So Rock Python, again, on a body mold for a character is supposed to be 6'2", about 220 plus. But Rock Python here, he's listed as 5'11" and like 180 pounds, something like that. So really, Rock Python should be on Bucky Cap, really. But I've seen drawings of him where he's actually like about the same size as Steve Rogers. He's fighting Steve Rogers, so maybe he's not as bad. He's not a D like Malekith, but he probably is a C. I think his paint job was really cool. I actually like the character, but he has no accessories as well. Rock Python, Rock Python in the comics has these like weird like streamers that he like shoots out that squeeze you, and this figure comes with nothing. If he had those accessories, maybe he would have actually been way higher up. I think he really pops on the shelf, and we really need more Serpent Society members in general, by the way. But yeah, if he had more accessories, or accessories at all, he would have really been improved. As is, he's just okay. So next up, here's a character that the first usage of this body mold for this character. This is also the first figure on this list that I will talk about that has a different torso. It still uses the Grim Reaper arms, but this time introduces the lower arms has a sculpted on a wristband gauntlet thing that the other body mold, the other arms do not have. Captain America introduced the gloves, and Malekith uses the same arms from Neymar here. But yeah, the torso is totally new. They also got new lower calves because they had to sculpt on those ankle wings for him. And he's okay. I think Neymar is fine. His trident sucks. He could have had a way better trident. They just reused the Odin trident for the Odin's staff for him. Spear. There you go. But yeah, that's the only issue with him. His head sculpt's also kind of lame, but he's okay. I also think he's actually a really underrated Marvel Legend. He also has paint on scale mail, but like for him, it doesn't bother me as much because there's a lot of like uniqueness to this figure. So I'll put Neymar in A tier, believe it or not. I think he's perfectly fine. And Namor is also a 6'2", 300-pound guy. But that's just because of his Atlantean anatomy there, making him heavier. Next up, we have the God of Mischief, Loki. And this Loki is the one from the Endgame Hulk Build-A-Figure wave. And I think this figure sucks. Really, for a character like Loki, he should have had way more effort put into his figure. The scale mill on him really should have been sculpted. It really should have been sculpted. But the bigger thing is, so Loki is 6'4". I'm not going to go over his weight because his weight's like 500 pounds or whatever because he's Asgardian. But his height is 6'4", so he should be taller. But also, Loki should be skinnier. Maybe this version of Loki specifically is drawn a little bit buffer, that's fine. But Loki in general is usually drawn pretty skinny and tall. He should definitely be taller than Captain America. And technically this figure is taller, but that's only because the head sits so damn high on the neck. It looks like he has a lollipop head. And it just doesn't look very great. And so, I don't know, Loki really should have been on a different body mold. Could introduce a new body mold for him, really. Hopefully we get that eventually. But for now, the Loki we have, he is going D tier. We have 2 Asgardians in D tier. It's not looking good. The Asgardians have really been like neglected in Marvel Legends over the years. We pretty much just get Thor and Loki, and had an Odin once and a Sif once and Valkyrie a couple times. But otherwise, yeah, they pretty neglected branch of the Marvel Universe. Speaking of neglected, here we go with Vance Astro from the Guardians of the Galaxy. The classic Guardians of the Galaxy. And at first, I thought Vance Astro was too big. I know Vance Astrovic from the New Warriors Marvel Boy, or Justice, as some may know him. He's only about 5'11", about 170 pounds, something like that. I could be wrong, maybe 180, I don't know. But Vance Astro, his both past and future version, technically, because he's both of those things. He's actually 235 and 6'2". So his scale is actually good. I think he's actually a really underrated figure. I think he is pretty slept on. I think he really pops on the shelf with his metallic blues and stuff. But he has that lame Captain America shield, that smooth Captain America shield. And it's the only accessory he has. So that brings him down a little bit. I'll put him in B tier. I think he could have done a little bit better. But I think he's a lot better on this body mold than I previously thought. Next up will be let's go a figure that hasn't actually come out yet. This is Saber Tooth. This is the classic, like, first appearance Saber Tooth, but it's not actually accurate. So Saber Tooth shouldn't have like his fingers and his toes sticking out of the gloves like that. His gloves and his feet, his gloves and his boots. I guess you can call them gloves and boots, but they were brown. They're totally brown. They don't have finger colors sticking out and toe colors sticking out. And some people really hate the head sculpt. I think the head sculpt's not bad. I think it could be better. It could be better painted at least. But this scale is perfect for this style Sabretooth. Sabretooth at this time was not the big giant hulking Jim Lee Sabretooth. This Sabretooth is perfectly fine on the Grim Reaper body mold. I think this is actually the perfect body mold for this version of Sabretooth. So if we had a better head sculpt and better hands, he'd probably be like higher. But I'm gonna put him here at probably at B tier. Probably. Maybe when the figure actually comes out, maybe he'll be put lower. But since he hasn't been actually been released yet, he'll go in B tier. Maybe in the future we'll lower him because maybe he sucks when we actually get him in hand. Who knows? So next up, we have the Retro Punisher. who's the exact same thing as the Walgreens Punisher, just with less accessories and a white belt instead of a brown belt, red bandana instead of a white bandana, and the head swat, like the original head had the 5 o'clock shadow and the bandana head didn't on the original release. And this release, the bandana head does have 5 o'clock shadow and the regular head is totally shaved. Whatever your preference is, I think they're both fine. But the retro ones is going to get a lower ranking just because he has less accessories. Simple. Haven't done a Captain America in a while, right? So let's not choose the obvious Captain America. That would be the next choice. We're actually going to choose 80th Captain America. This is the Marvel 80th anniversary Captain America from 2019. And honestly, this figure barely even counts as a Grim Reaper body mold. Because in fact, I think the only things that were reused on this Captain America might have been his lower arms and the lower legs. Because the upper legs and have like extra sculpted detail. They have extra like wrinkles and stuff sculpted on. And that's not present on any other usage of the Grim Reaper body ever. So really, you can barely count this figure as Grim Reaper. So because of that, and like, I think he's great. I think he looks fantastic. He has all that great sculpt on him. He has that little tiny shield again that I don't like, the smooth little tiny shield. But he has two cool heads, some different hands, that shield throwing effect that we got with the retro cap. This that little shield really brings him down. But all the new sculpt kind of helps him. But it makes me kind of feel like it's not fair to count him as Grim Reaper since he's mostly brand new sculpt. He really shouldn't even be in the list. I just felt like including him anyways because all the comic Captain America is basically got included on here. Really torn between to put him in S tier or A tier because it just doesn't seem fair to put him higher. But I'll put him in A tier. Yell at me in the comments for it, but yeah, I think he's a great figure. I still love him on my shelf, but yeah, he barely counts as Grim Reaper, so I'm not really gonna put him higher than actual true Grim Reaper figures. You know, so it's not had a single S tier for the Grim Reaper body mold yet. It's kind of crazy. Let's change that. We have another Neymar. This is the classic Neymar from the Okoye Build-A-Figure wave. And Neymar got a whole brand new torso. Again, this Neymar got a brand new torso, and this one got a brand new torso. He uses the same arms that were introduced with this Neymar. But the arms and legs are still very much Grim Reaper. And I just think they did a fantastic job with his Neymar. It's a very, very good, iconic, classic Neymar. I bought like 6 of these figures for my shelf. I'm exaggerating a little bit. It's like 5. But, and he got a way better trident this time, too. I think he's a fantastic figure that's really slept on. People really underestimate that Neymar figure. And, honestly, if they would have waited another year and they could have put this Neymar figure in the 80th anniversary line, it would have made more sense because Neymar actually turned 80 that year. None of the other characters in that wave turned 80 except for Neymar that year. But anyways, so next up, let's go Red Guardian. So Red Guardian is basically a Captain America figure. Red Guardian is 6'2" and 220 pounds. Another big guy, Captain America sized. He uses the smooth Captain America shield, but it works fine for him because, we're not going to get a whole brand new sculpted shield for Red Guardian. I'm sorry. But yeah, I think it works better for him than it does for Captain America. And he has good, I like that shading on his chest, honestly. I think he's a pretty decent figure. I actually have no complaints about him at all. I think he's perfectly fine. I'm actually going to put him in S tier. Call me crazy, but I think Red Guardian is a really decent figure. Actually, I do one complaint. His belt buckle. His belt buckle is not the right shape. He should have got a new belt buckle for that belt. I gotta be picky with these S tier figures, so maybe I'll lower him. but that's kind of a really big nitpick. I don't know. I think he's fine. S tier for Red Guardian, the leader of the Soviet super soldiers, or the Winter Guard, whichever you're so inclined to call them. Next up, let's go. Just put this guy straight to D again because he's Malekith again. Exact same figure, just different paint scheme. Same exact issues as before. Argue over which one's more comic accurate. I don't care. He's a D tier figure. And we'll do the same thing for Loki. Even though his colors are better at this release, and he has a better head sculpt with this release, he's still a Loki that is very lackluster and really should have been better. Had to complain about scale for a little while, even though I just did 2 times in a row. But Cloak. So Cloak is honestly, I think he looks really impressive on the shelf. But you can't do anything with him because his cloak he's a big traffic cone. You can't do anything with this figure. On top of that, when I think of Cloak, I think of a teenage character superhero, like him and Dagger, both teenagers, doing low-level, street-level stuff. This Cloak, you look at him, he looks old. He looks like Bishop old, like he went to the future and aged like 30 years and then came back and then came to the present and there's another 20 years on top of that. He looks old. He actually looks like a lot like Idris Elba to me. But Cloak is also supposed to be 5'9", because he's a teenager. And so he really should not be on the Green for Body mold at all. It's way too big of a body for him. So he is going in D tier. Because you can't do anything with him. He's way too big. By the way, I'm ranking these figures pretty harshly. Overall, the Grim Reaper body mold is better than the Hyperion body mold in the previous video. Just the characters that use that body mold specifically, if I was to rank them against these figures would beat them almost every time. But it's just on this body mold specifically, this is how I'm ranking them, if that makes any sense at all. Okay, so next up, let's go Craven again. I think Craven looks awesome. This is a great classic Craven. I love his little ballerina boots he has on. And I love his head sculpt. The issue I had with the previous Craven with the boring head sculpt was improved with this Craven tenfold. He has a great head sculpt. He looks crazy and angry. The one issue with this Craven figure is because of the skin tone on his calves, it makes his ankles look gigantic. It looks like he has giant cankles, so that really brings him down. And I would love to put him on S tier, but those cankles just bring him down to A. But he could have easily been S tier if he didn't look so cankly. Every figure on this mold has cankles, but for some reason with Craven, they really, really stand out because of I'm assuming it's just because of the coloring of that plastic. All right, so next up we have a Captain America costume that I don't think anyone ever asked for. This is Captain America from Secret War. Not Secret Wars, but Secret War from 2005, I want to say. And nobody asked for this figure. But this figure, I can't remember if this one came first or if the Retro Cap came first with that throwing shield accessory. I want to say it was this one. But, yeah, it's not great. Honestly, this guy's belt would have been better to use for Red Guardian. But yeah, he's okay. But it's just a figure no one asked for. But I think he was done really well for a figure that no one asked for. So, if you liked him, then I'd put him in B. But as a personal preference, I'd put him way down here. But as an actual figure, not being biased about it, I think he's a B tier Marvel Legend. Not Marvel Legend, B tier Grim Reaper body mold Marvel Legends, what I should have said. Next up here is, let's go with Whirlwind. Whirlwind, I think is fantastic. He got new lower forearms for his little blades on his arms, and new upper torso for his harness thing on his chest. And I think he is done really well. I think he's a really slept-on figure. Maybe he could have had chainmail sculpted all over him, all over his body, but no one's gonna do that kind of work for Whirlwind. I think he's a really slept-on figure, and honestly, I'm gonna put Whirlwind up here in S tier because I think he is done like as good as you can possibly do Whirlwind. I mean, it's a character no one cares about at all, but he got all this new sculpt, and yeah, I think he's just really well done. Call me crazy. Next up, let's go with Thunderbird. Thunderbird, this is a character that people are really confused about all the time. For some reason, people always think Thunderbird is like huge. They always think he's like 6'6" or taller than that. But really, Thunderbird's listed height is only 6 foot. But you could argue he might be more like 6'2", 6'3", because he looks like he's about the same height as Cyclops usually in panels, but he's just drawn buffer. But his listed height is 6 foot, and he only survived. He only alive for like 2 issues or something like that, right? So really, it doesn't matter. What bothers me, the only thing I dislike about this figure really is, well, besides how much the like tassels fall on his legs, is they give the same issue as this Loki down here. He has a giraffe neck. Like, he has a super floaty lollipop neck, and that brings him down a lot. He could, if they didn't have that lollipop neck issue, and if they gave him some damn fist hands instead of those grippy hands. That's my biggest issue with this body mold, actually, is that everyone has grippy hands, but nothing to grip, usually. And Thunderbird here, I think, scale-wise, I think he's fine. Just if you Dremel his neck, his head, his peg hole in his head, and made it sit lower on the body, it would look way better. But since that didn't happen, I'm gonna put him in C. But he really could have been great, but he's not. So he goes in C tier. Then we have Wonder Man. Wonder Man uses, like, he's the brother of Grim Reaper here. And Wonder Man's 6'2" and like 380 pounds because he's made of energy. And I think this is a good body mold for Wonder Man. I'm actually shocked we haven't gotten a Safari Jacket Wonder Man yet. Everyone's been asking for that for years. And this Wonder Man we got here, this is the Wonder Man from Marvel Now with the Uncanny Avengers. Not my preferred look for Wonder Man. I was hoping this look you can almost make it pass as the 90s like West Coast Avengers Wonder Man. Give it a red belt, get rid of the red straps and the red straps in the arms and the red straps in the legs. And you give him a red belt, and you can almost make him a 90s West Coast Avengers Wonder Man. And because he's not the costume I like, costume anyone really asked for, I don't think, it brings him down. And otherwise, he's perfectly fine, passable figure. I'd put him put him with his brother here at B tier. Let's put him over here. But yeah, we need a lot more Wonder Man figures. But honestly, we need his evil costume version. We need his first appearance costume version. We need the Safari Jacket. Because that way I can put like one with the Masters of Evil, one with the Lethal Legion, one with, the Avengers and the West Coast Avengers. I think we need a few more Wonder Mans. Next up, this is clearly unfair. This is a 20th anniversary Captain America. He's clearly an S tier figure because S tier Grim Reaper body mold figure because I was to rank Marvel Legends in general, he'd be an S tier Marvel Legend in general. Like, he'd be top of S tier. He's a fantastic, amazing figure. Yes, he has holes in his shield. Steal the shield from this guy on here. Okay, it'd be fine. I don't mean physically steal it, but I mean like take it from him, the figure, and yeah, don't return the figure with the wrong shield. Don't do swaps here. But yeah, that Captain America, I think he's fantastic. I think he's amazing. not much. I don't need to say much more about it. Everyone's gushing over this figure right now. I think he's amazing. Totally an S tier Marvel Legend in general. Definitely an S tier Grim Reaper body mold figure, and he has actual Grim Reaper legs on him. Unlike the 80th cap, this one actually has the Grim Reaper legs. The whole from the crotch area all the way down to the feet is all Grim. Well, really the boots are from cap, but the feet and the legs are all 100% Grim Reaper body mold. So this guy gets to stay here in S tier. Next up here, we're going to go Genus Vel. I think mentioning the Genus Vel looks amazing. Not the costume anyone really wants for Genus Vel. I'm putting him in A tier. He got different bracers on his arm. He does not have the same bracers as Neymar has. But yeah, no, I think he's good. He has the bobblehead syndrome really bad again too, but it's less noticeable on him with his helmet. And his shoulders are limited because of the armor, which is why he's only an A tier. But if they made him the legacy version of Genus Vel Captain Marvel, he would have been S tier for sure, I think. And hopefully that happens still. But yeah, I think he's okay. I think he's more than okay. I think he's good. I enjoy having this figure. I have him with my Kree army. If we get the other version of him, he'll go with the Thunderbolts or the Avengers. Hope that happens soon. But yeah, he's an A tier figure. I think he is pretty decent. And that like sparkle stuff they put in him was like a genius idea. A less genius idea was using the sparkle thing for Great Gargoyle here. Like I guess the idea for it was okay, but in practice it doesn't look as well. First, people gush over this figure. I love Great Gargoyle. Don't get me wrong. The Great Gargoyle, technically he's supposed to be 5'11", but he's drawn pretty large. So being bigger than 5'11", that's fine. For this character specifically, his weight's like 780 pounds. He's made out of granite, so let's not count that. But the problem I have with this figure is he's pretty translucent, which could have been cool, except for he's made out of granite. And if you know what granite looks like, you know granite is not translucent. So he shouldn't look like he's partially translucent, especially his cape. And they should have really painted the inside of his hand gray, because he touches you with his hand and you turn into stone. And that only happens because there's a cutout in his palm that makes that he can actually physically touch you with. So, as much as I would love to give this figure a high ranking, I love this figure on a biased level. I love this figure because I love the character. But really, he should have been a more solid gray color. Still add the speckles in him, but don't make him clear. Don't make him partially, see-through, translucent. Make him, totally opaque, like rock, like granite. And that's what brings him down a little bit. I'll put it quite a bit, actually. Put him down in C tier. But he could have been amazing if they just painted him like actual granite. But they didn't. So he also has a lollipop syndrome head a little bit too. So that brings him down as well. But he could have been like an amazing Marvel Legend if they just didn't make him partially translucent, really. Next up is really another figure that people didn't really care about last year, but this is the Guardsman. And Guardsman here has the Grim Reaper arms and the Grim Reaper legs, but a whole new torso. They give him a whole new torso setup because this guy has that weird like bikini armor that he has on. It's weird, but yeah, he's another decent figure, and for the character, they did him well. And he's basically an army builder. He's pretty much the only army builder ever to be used on this body mold. So I'm honestly gonna put him in A tier. I think he's fine. Maybe the greens could have been a little bit different shades to make him stand out, to make them slightly stand out a little bit from each other. But as is, I think it's fine. So the Guardsman, A tier. And Guardsman is up to 6'4" in that Guardsman armor. He's sometimes usually 6'2", but sometimes he's 6'4". Either way, it fits. Speaking of characters that are 6'4", here's U.S. Agent. US Agent also, once again, has a small, smooth shield. Figure hasn't actually been released yet, so I can't comment too much. But he uses the Grim Reaper body for sure. You can tell in the picture. And while normally, so I'd say the Grim Reaper body mold is good for people who are about 6'2" to 6'4". Most people on this list are about 6'2". Some are supposed to be taller, some are supposed to be shorter. Look at UD tier and a little bit of UC tier as well. Yeah, with Captain America being on this body mold so much, being 6'2", US Agent is always clearly drawn taller than Steve Rogers at 6'4". So technically his figure should be on a bigger body mold, right? Like, you'd think that he really should have been on like the Hyperion body mold, like specifically the young Thor body they used for Captain Britain would have been a great one for US Agent, but they didn't do that. I didn't really expect them to either. But no matter what, it's definitely better than the shitty Bucky Cat body they used for the original US Agent figure. That was definitely an F tier Bucky Cat body mold figure. But yeah, this time I think US Agent, because he should be bigger than Steve Rogers, but really this body mold's not really the wrong choice at the same time. It's really hard to say where you can put him at. I think he can go in any of these three categories depending on your different feelings of him. Maybe he'll change when I get him in hand. My opinion might change higher or lower, but I'm going to put him in C tier for now. Maybe when he gets released, maybe I'll think more highly of him. But at the moment, I think he's just average. Actually, I'll put him in B, because that way we can actually go lower with him if I end up not liking his size in person, or higher with him if I think he's okay. I think he actually looks great. I think he looks like a great paint job and stuff. His shield's a little bit weird, but I'll put him in B for now. Maybe in the future we can come back and modify this list. And then last but not least is the guy who is also supposed to be the same height as Cloak. Richter's listed height is 5'9", 175 pounds. And this figure uses the Grim Reaper body mold, which is typically used for people who are 6'2", 220. Or more, 240 in Captain America's case. Or 700 pounds in Great Gargoyle's case. But Richter apparently is supposed to be only 5'9", which I totally believe when he's on the New Mutants, when he's a young kid. 5'9" seems perfectly fitting. But when he joins X-Force, he looks taller than 5'9" to me. He probably doesn't look 6'2", but he doesn't look 5'9". He could be, 6 foot, 5'11", whatever. Bucky Cat body sized. But man, this figure looks too good to give him a bad rating. The shoulder pads and the long hair. He does not have a lollipop syndrome head. His hair looks great. The effects that they use on him actually work for this character. Mostly, anyways. You could do without the bubbles. The new boots, the new gloves, the new belt. It really makes this figure look fantastic, and it really sucks his scale's actually not right. So I would love to give him an S tier ranking, because this figure honestly deserves an S tier ranking. But his scale is not correct, and I'm a scale Nazi. I'm not saying he should be 5'9", but I'm saying maybe he should have been on the Bucky Cat body. Yes, I know, sue me, but I like the Bucky Cat body, especially when it's used correctly. And sadly, because of that, I will rank Richter at B tier. Call me crazy. He really should be lower. He should be C tier or D tier because of his scale issue. But because he's drawn slightly larger in this costume, I guess you can almost give him the excuse of, maybe maybe he is taller when he's on X-Force or something. I don't know. But anyways, that's the end of this video. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. I love making these tier ranking videos. Coming up soon here, we're probably going to be doing less action figure ones. I mean, we'll still continue to do the action figure ones. Like the next action figure one we'll do will be the Sunfire body mold. I might have said that last time. I don't know. I thought I said Grim Reaper last time, but I don't know. And so that'll be the next action figure body mold one we do. But otherwise, we still have anniversaries for Hulk and Thor and Spider-Man. Let me know in the comments below if you watched this video this far. Should I do a Thor villains ranking? A different versions of the Hulk ranking? Or a Spider-Man costume ranking for the next comic style one? And whichever one gets the most votes, which probably only get one vote because no one comments on my videos. Come on, guys. I appreciate the views, but come on, give me a comment, please. Otherwise, the rest of the month will be dinosaur themed, with anticipating the Prehistoric Planet documentary series, and then Jurassic World. I think I'm gonna do some dinosaur content, which I love. So yeah, please let me know. Let me know in the comments below what you guys want to see, what you guys want me to do, what you guys thought about this video. Am I crazy for putting Whirlwind in S tier? Probably. Let me know. Anyways, thank you guys for watching again. I'll catch you guys next time here on JBR3 Collector. Peace.